Hello, everyone. So today, some review and also just kind of trying to break down paragraph format a little more. I know that's one of the toughest parts of research writing. So some quick review and also there'll be a couple of little new things here as well. So first, a review of MLA in-text citation rules. So in general, use author, last name, and page number. If you use it source multiple times in the same paragraph without referencing another text, then just use page number. And remember, period comes after the citation. So it should look like this. You got last name, page number, period. Also, always remember that when you're using quotes, you need a little phrase from you leading into each quote. So a little phrase or clause from you leading into each quote. Here's if you use it twice in the same paragraph, same source, without anything in between, you just use the page number. Okay. If you use multiple authors, you use this format, author, author, and author, page number. If there's not an author, use the following, title, in quotes, page number. If there's more than three authors, use the following, author, kind of the first author, comma, the phrase et al, and the page number. But make note, in your works cited, you need to list all of the authors. You can't just write et al in the works cited. This is in your paragraphs, what it should look like. So here's what the title would look like, right? And again, remember a phrase from you leading into each quote. Then you have the title in quotation marks and the page number. Here's what it looks like with three authors. And here's what it looks like with more than three authors. Okay, this is in your handout packet. Also, I'll be posting this little packet that we're going through today in your learning materials for this week. So this could be useful to reference. Okay, so now in this assignment, you're evaluating news videos, right? So one of the main goals of this assignment is this news video trustworthy or not, right? And you do research to find that out. So now, some of you, if you haven't been able to prove that the news video you watched is trustworthy, then you probably shouldn't reference it in your text. If your research backs up the video, then you can use it, right? But it's usually good to pair with a fact from a more trustworthy source. Remember, when you're using a news source, you need to pair it with a more trustworthy, like academic journal article. But so you know how to cite videos. This is all on Purdue OWL, but it's also in this packet that I'll provide this week. So this is what citing a news video should look like in your works cited. So name of person or organization that made the video, the title in quotation marks, period, title of website, comma, uploaded by, and then the name of the person who uploaded it or organization that uploaded it, the date, and the web address. If something's missing there, that's fine. If you can't locate it, let's look at a couple examples. So here we have the name of person that made the video. We have the title of video. We have the website name in italics, uploaded by, and then the name of the person or group that uploaded it, the date, and then the web address. Say you're missing the name of person or organization that made the video, then you just start with the title. So 8 veggie hot dog gadgets put you to the test. So the title, then the name of the website, uploaded by, and the name of the person who uploaded it or group that uploaded it, the date, and website. In this case, in the name of person or organization, it's Al Jazeera News, which is probably similar to what you guys will be using. Then the title, then you put the website Al Jazeera there, and if there wasn't a name of a person who uploaded it, then you just leave that out, and you put the date and the website. Okay, so you say, oh, that's my works cited. What does it look like in my paper? So in your paper, it should be the first part of your works cited entry. So it'd be McGonagall here. It'd be 8 veggie hot dog gadgets put to the test here. And here it'd be Al Jazeera News. So this is what it looks like. In the video gaming and donuts, the host smeared donuts all over their televisions. So the first part of the works cited entry is right there. And that's how you would cite that. In this, I won't read it, but you can read through it. It's for the second one. And so you take the first part of the entry, which is the title in quotation marks, and you put that in parentheses there. Now, if you use it more than once in your paper, this doesn't have to be in the same paragraph. If you use it more than once, the second time you use a shortened version of the title. So in this case, instead of this whole long title, the next time I use it, it'd be a shortened version of the title. Okay. Then the last one, Al Jazeera News, it looks just like that. Okay. Now, I'm trying to go through this quickly so I don't have a mega long video here. But if you need me to answer questions on any of this, please check in with me. Also, Purdue OWL has a lot of this stuff on there as well. Okay, so I want to review paragraph structure. I'm going to go through it quick, but it's all outlined here. So remember, you try to find your evidence. That's what you're doing with the library databases now. And I would start every paragraph. You need to just take a piece of evidence and then try to build around it using the paragraph formula here. Okay. Remember, analysis, for our purposes, is breaking down that evidence. What does it mean? Why is it important? What can we learn from this? And evaluation is the bigger picture. How does it connect to the larger subject or idea? Okay. In every paragraph except your introduction and your conclusion, it should follow this 1 through 5 formula. In most cases, each one of these should be 1 to 2 sentences each. Occasionally, it can be more than it can be a third sentence, but that shouldn't be the norm. So the first sentence in every paragraph out in your body is the introduction to the idea being discussed. It's a general statement that does not need to be cited. Okay, and again, 1 to 2 sentences. The second part of your paragraph should be your evidence. Remember to add a little phrase from you leading into that evidence. And it should be cited. And that should be 1 to 2 sentences in most cases. Then you analyze that evidence, break it down. What's it mean? Why is it important? What can we learn from this? And that should be 1 to 2 sentences. Now, if you have more than one piece of evidence, then it should probably be 2 to 3 sentences of analysis, right? Then evaluate that evidence. How does it connect to the larger subject or idea? And connect back to your thesis. Again, each part of this formula should be 1 to 2 sentences in most cases, with an occasional third sentence when needed. So let's look at how this looks in a student sample. So an introduction sentence. This sentence is a general idea that doesn't need to be cited. And when you read this, if you only read the introduction sentence for every paragraph throughout the paper and nothing else from the paper, you should know what that paper is about, right? So in this case, the biggest offender of homophobia thus far has to be the conservative legislation that is currently enacted in Russia, okay? A general statement doesn't need to be cited. It's not so specific that you need to cite that fact. It's general. And then you clearly know what that paragraph is going to be about, right? Then you have your evidence. So you have the anti-gay propaganda law intends to prevent the exposure of minors to non-traditional sexual relations with your citation. In this case, they want to use 2 pieces of evidence here. So here's the second piece of evidence. This leads to the general public feeling aggression against the LGBT community has been sanctioned by the government. Okay, now remember, if you're using more than one piece of evidence, You really need to focus in and make sure you analyze both parts of that. Don't put it together and analyze it. Analyze each part, okay? So in this case, this first one, the anti-propaganda law, prevent non-traditional sexual relations. They analyze it, break it down, what's it mean, why is it important? Since the legislative body has decided that same-sex relationships and the depictions of them are dangerous to children, LGBT people are made out to be an insidious threat to the youth. Okay, that breaks this down and explains why it's important. Because of this, this is the case. Then the second one, right? They feel that aggression from the LGBT community has been sanctioned by the government. How do you break that down? What does it mean? Why is it important? What can we learn? It makes sense that those who commit crimes against same-sex attracted people feel that they're in the right because of this information, right? So you have two pieces of evidence. You analyzed each. I would argue you could add another sentence or two here to more fully analyze this, but this is good enough. Then in this case, they tie together the evaluation and maintaining thesis. If you do that, just make sure you're doing both parts. So connect to the bigger idea or subject and connect to your thesis. Without acknowledging that LGBT people are deserving of fundamental human rights, the cycle of discrimination and persecution will continue, endangering more people. So you could, when you read that last sentence, you should have a general idea of what their thesis is about then, right? And here's how it looks all together. I'm not going to read it to save time, but you should read through it together, see how it looks. I recommend you, in your outline, you lay out all the evidence you want to use, and then you start building the paragraph around it. So start with that evidence and say, how could I take this evidence and make a general statement about it? How could I take this evidence and explain it to the reader, break it down, what's it mean, why is it important? How could I take this evidence and do that and connect it to the larger idea, subject, and thesis? Okay, so think of a formula. Start with that evidence and build the formula around it. Let's look at one more example here. So we start with the introduction sentence. Again, if you only read this, you should know what that whole paragraph's about. So the second problem with the way an animator is treated in the Japanese industry is with the number of hours they work. Okay, it's a general statement. You see what the paragraph's going to be about. It doesn't need to be cited. Now, if it said a specific number of hours worked, 65 hours a week, that has to be cited. But because it's more general than that and just says they're working a lot, it doesn't need to be cited. Now, here's their evidence. Remember, fact, quote, paraphrase, statistic. Always have a clause from yourself leading into it, and always have a citation. Because animators are paid by the number of drawings done in a day, they're incentivized to work longer hours. And then here's their quote, right? And with the citation as well. So how can we break down this quote? Through analysis and, this should just say analysis. Break it down. What's it mean? Why is it important? What can we learn from it? Normally, working more than 40 hours a week is seen as a lot, and these people are working anywhere between 60 and 70 hours a week. Normally, working this much wouldn't be seen as a problem because the animators who entered these positions knew what they should expect, right? So again, that's breaking down that data from up here. It's explaining if you add all this together, it comes to this, right? It's explaining to that reader, explaining to your jury why this evidence is important. Okay, and then here's evaluation. How does it connect to a large idea and maintain thesis? However, when people are working this much and make less than the equivalent of minimum wage, it becomes a humane issue. So it's clear that the thesis of this paper is about being humane or inhumane, right? So you know something about the thesis from that sentence. I think they could have done a slightly better job with evaluation here, so maybe they did need a second sentence, but it in general works here. Remember, student examples aren't perfect, they're to illustrate. what we're working on. And then in the final page here, I created a worksheet that you could use to do this process on your own, right? I recommend filling in evidence first. Then saying, based on this evidence, what general statement could I make that does not need to be cited, but would clue people into what that entire paragraph's about? Then break it down. What's it mean? Why is it important? What can we learn from that? Okay. Evaluation, how does it connect to the larger idea subject? And then maintain your thesis. So you could fill in your paragraph here. You could print out a bunch of these sheets and keep filling it out and complete your whole paper that way if you like. Hopefully this is helpful, because this is remember, the primary writing skill that I'm trying to make sure that you can do this research writing process. If you need any help, anything at all, please reach out to me. Thanks.